forward. Thank you. Just a reminder of what Family Support Council is, and what our responsibility as a whole entails. We know that we have found out last year that we have responsibility to the Open Meetings Act. And so we have now put this, I guess you would call a clause in the sense of DC law of why we are adhering to the Open Meetings Act is because of the Department on Disability Services Establishment Act of 2006. And Family Support Council was established under that particular act. And at the time, I was one of several other parents that we said we needed some type of counsel, so parents and families could come together to give recommendations and advise and assist agencies on best practices to give family-centered, person-centered supports and make sure those systems were built in that way. And to make sure that those services and supports were effective to support across the lifespan for DC residents with IDD, intellectual and developmental disabilities, and making sure they were able to give their preferences of how they want to live their lives in the District of Columbia. So thank you to each one of you for being a part of this independent body of members that we are appointed by the DDS director, which those applications go to him. They were shared with me being the co-chair, but the appointment actually is done by the DDS director, which today in this time frame is Andy. So wanted to just make sure we all understood what our purpose is as a whole, as a council. Well, welcome's done. Members present, we see that we have Azeb, Craig, Rhonda, myself, Oliver. Thank you. Shawnee. And I think, like we said, that is the 6 of us, and Adrian.
We lost Adrian.
Okay.
Temporarily, hopefully.
Yeah, because she said if she falls off. And then it looks like, although not a member, but it does look like we have someone else who has joined us. If you could introduce yourself.
Yes, this is Israel from Shalom Healthcare Services.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome to our Family Support Council meeting. We're glad that you were able to join us.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. If you wouldn't mind, if you would like to, you're welcome to share your information in the chat.
I'll do that.
Okay. And towards the end, we will allow for any announcements or things like that. We just have a very full schedule today. So if you could do that, we'd appreciate it. And if you have some announcements or things, we'll try to establish some time at the end, okay?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay. We're still at 6, correct?
No, we're not.
Right, because Adrian hasn't made it back in. Well,
yeah.
Okay, so I definitely have more to say, but we'll do the elections of officers and priorities. And then, of course, like I said, we will give some time for announcements from the members or those who are attending today. I'm going to move on forward because I do have things to share. Just as we are preparing to vote and get our position elections done, I do want to remind everyone of what those responsibilities, hopefully there are people who are considering, which I think there is one that had already shared with us that was interested in the co-chair position. And if there's anyone else in the midst of this, I will give some time after I go through these responsibilities for us to find out who those individuals are. But it is approximately 10 hours per month. It is a co-chair, so being co-chair, there'll be two individuals who will be working through these responsibilities, and it'll be divided between the two. And I will not take the time necessarily to walk through each one of these. I think we have shared these with you all a few times. But the bigger thing is being nominated and elected by a majority vote today. And then that will be a position held for 2 years. Is there any questions that anyone may have? One of the other things that I do want to point out is also serving as a core member of the Supporting Families Community of Practice is another opportunity in which the co-chairs are responsible. Now, in this case, it's a co-chair, right? So it may not be both of you going to that meeting, right? It may be just one that is going to represent in that way for the Family Support Council. And there, you know, potentially are other opportunities where co-chair will be, and one of the co-chairs will participate in meetings so that information resources can be brought back to the council. Any questions about those responsibilities? I feel like I might be a broken record, so I don't want to go through them all over again, but if there is some question about how it works, as you can tell, there'll be other committees that one of the co-chairs will be responsible for attending other meetings and committees. Okay,
I have a question.
Hi, okay.
Craig, I'll take you, and then
Yeah,
Adrian.
so currently you're the chair, Rhonda, right? Are you the co-chair with someone else, or are you the chair?
Well, just to give some history of what happened, there was two co-chairs during the pandemic, really. The other co-chair, I'm not sure if you know of her, but her name was Joan Christopher. And she and I were in position together. She had to step down. And so I resumed and continuing forward as the chair. There was not anyone that at the time that wanted to take the position of continuing her or
I see.
taking her role as the co-chair. So ever since its existence, it's had two co-chairs. And when I say we, because back when this was started, the Family Support Council, we thought it was most important because we are family members or tend to be in these roles, in these types of leadership roles. We have busy lives, right? And being able to split it between two people, hopefully would, you know, bear the weight amongst the two, right? Instead of putting it all on one person.
Understand. And then I guess the second question I had,
Mhm.
maybe you were going to address this, but are you interested in remaining as one of the co-chairs?
Craig. You're supposed to
Well,
wait. On that
I mean,
question. You're supposed to wait on that question.
Oh,
Now,
I know.
I apologize.
I want to make sure these roles are open to anyone else that wants to take the role, right? I think it's important that we have, even though we're all on this together and we're all giving our wisdom, information, resources, I do think it's always nice to allow, you know what I'm saying? And I won't say
Sure.
allow, you know, that other people have that opportunity. I mean, one of the things that I wanted to happen was that we did get really two new members, which I was very thankful for in the midst of me doing really three. Now think about it. Oliver, Azeb, and yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because they have, you were the most recent, but the Azeb and Oliver were new too, but not at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's another, you know, part of this as I answer your question slowly but surely, but is that we just want to make sure, I do, that we have the opportunities for other people to lead.
Of course.
And I do think this role is a very good place in which parents or family members, and it could be a self-advocate. Keep that in mind. It's just these positions are not just for parents, but just in the past it's worked out that way. But it is a way for you to help whomever it is in the area of leadership, right? You know, in this area, and working together with someone to do that if you haven't done that before, I think is another wonderful opportunity in this position, these leadership positions, I should say. Remember, we're all doing our own work in this, but in these leadership positions, I think it's a very good place to do that. Adrian? Did you have a question? I see you.
No, thank you.
We lost her again? Oh, wow. Okay, well, hopefully when she
Well,
comes
I
back.
did have a follow-up, just
Oh,
the
sorry,
reason
sure.
the reason I asked was because,
Mhm.
you know, I have an interest in one of these positions, but I must
Mhm.
admit, it's a more desirable position if you're still the co-chair, because,
Yeah.
you know, it is, I mean, just as a matter of fact.
Oh,
So,
I,
so I'm
okay.
curious if you were remaining as a co-chair, anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, Oliver, you read my mind.
You're just slapping on the butter on this, right? Putting on the ice cream to try to just serve this.
Ah,
I see how you're working, Craig. And then you got your amen crew over here as if.
Anyhow, forgive me for getting ahead of myself.
No,
Okay.
it's okay. That's okay. But hopefully Adrian steps back in, and she can ask her question, and I'm gonna
Okay.
continue to talk, but, the vice chair,
Hmm.
we did get a very good suggestion during the bylaws, which we all agreed to. Just a reminder, what was in the bylaws is that, we do have the vice chair, and how one thing that was a combination role of a secretary plus vice chair responsibilities, of course, but the meeting and maintaining the meeting notes. Just a reminder, we are recording, you know what I'm saying, the meetings. So hopefully, while if someone takes this position as it pertains to the meetings minutes, maintaining those, you will be able to look at, you know, the recordings to be able to also gain any, you know, things that you may have missed if you were taking notes, you know, by writing on, you know, notepad or whatever it may be.
That's
And
right.
then managing the membership, I'm going to take an opportunity to say several things there. Is that we are, well, whomever is in this position, it'll be important for them to continue to be very intentional about sticking to everyone's responsibilities, which maybe I could skip to the next, making sure you are attending the meetings. And if you're not attending the meetings, then we need to have a conversation, right? We know we have things that happen in our lives, you know, Lord knows I know. And things happen, but the responsibility of everyone indicating I can't make it, or, you know, whatever those reasons are, and communicating that and making it a point to be intentional about being in these meetings. For sake of this right now, we need 6, and Adrian's figuring in and out, and there's still others who haven't joined us. So we are unable to move forward when we don't have a quorum, and that just stifles our work. So it's really important that everyone is participating in their roles as members. And so part of the vice chair, where they will be keeping up with the membership, how long you've been on the council as well, not just your attendance on the meetings, but, you know, making sure you're within the time frame, and then making sure the conversations had that, oh, there's someone, you know, your second year's coming up, and having the communication with individual members, excuse me, about those types of things. The executive committee meetings, which it will entail the co-chair, vice chair, and the liaison, DDS liaison as well. Those meetings, and then if the 2 co-chairs are not available for whatever that reason is, or maybe one is and one isn't, you know what I'm saying? That vice chair would step into that role. to assist in whatever it may be needed to assist with. So is there any questions about, the coordination of the work committees too? In the past, we had spoke about the advocacy and membership and those kinds of things, establishing those types of committees. So that person would be supporting that role of making sure the follow-up with those committees and also allowing those committee heads or even the vice chair working in that way to report on that type of information about what happened in those committees. Any questions or anything about that? Okay, I'm trying to, there we go. Oh, okay. I thought I put the voting members. Sorry about that. I thought I had put the voting members responsibilities on here. I don't know where I put them. Let me see here. Excuse me. There we go. There we go. Full body. I just had put the priorities in there. Sorry about that, but we'll be talking about it in a minute. But the full body, all of the members in your responsibilities. One thing is, of course, we want the input from the families in the community, you know, about what's going on, recommendations that they may have. We as a whole are supposed to be making recommendations to DDS and other sister agencies. Hold meetings at least 8 times per year. So that means not to say we couldn't go over the 8, but we definitely need to do the 8 and we need to participate in those 8 and attending those meetings. And then, sorry, I have to move you guys over on this box. And then we get these requests. We get requests to look at policies and procedures. It's really important that we get the input from the full body and individual members about those procedures. And there are emails that go out and we ask for a response. I'm saying, at least in the role I am now, that it is important that you respond. Either I'm okay with it, because you can say that. Maybe you're okay with the policy said. But no, this is what I think after I reviewed it. But there needs to be a response, either way. And then, of course, we always want to make sure we look for new members. One of my goals that I'm working hard to do, but trying to make sure we had a diverse group, right, of members. And when I say that, from the soliciting piece of wanting to get some younger parents, grandparents, other diversity within other cultures, and, you know, all of those, just us looking for new members to add to our group, right? And then making sure we're following the bylaws that we've all approved, and then be a part of if we need to amend something, right? And the election of officers. All righty, did I get everything? Okay, let me go back up here. I'm cruising on through, hoping that Adrian's gonna get back on here. When we did the surveys.
Oh, Rhonda, I'm here. Can you not? I thought,
Yeah.
I guess you can't see me. I'm
No.
still, I
She's
came
been here
right
the whole
back.
time.
Yeah,
Oh, I had asked for you and I thought you had, I thought someone said you had
I'm
clicked
having
on.
I'm having some Apple phone issues. So
Okay, go ahead. You had a question.
I
or what?
did,
I
I had
apologize. I didn't realize you had come back.
I'm back.
Okay.
So it's not as much a question as it is a suggestion, especially going forward. I believe that, let's say, for example, you, Joan, Daisy, these are some of the current / past chair people. And I believe something that would be really beneficial is to perhaps with the next round of people, if it's not you still there, but definitely the co-chair, that maybe if you guys could spend some time really prepping the people that would be coming into the position, it would be really helpful, because you guys don't have just a knowledge of being the chair, but having been with the organization or having been with this group for enough time, or anybody that's been here for more than 4 years has an understanding. But definitely the chair people have a different type of understanding. And so I think everything is relevant to what you just said. However, I think it would be great, especially when people are new to coming into the position, even the vice chair, to give some prep time, so that we have a better understanding and a better feel and a more confident, a level of confidence about coming into it to continue the ball. So the baton, if it's passed, it's picked up and carried forward. That's all I wanted to share.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you shared that. And definitely from my perspective, whomever that is, I definitely am on board, you know what I'm saying, to supporting that transition. And as a continuing member, will be available. But one of the pluses too is not only that, but Catherine, her role is very important to at least the management of the council. And so she is definitely a resource for those individuals in the leadership position to lean on, because I definitely have, because remember I was the chair. And so there was no way I could do everything, you know what I'm saying? She was very helpful with the administrative pieces and making connections for me with different agency members and things. So that's another thing. But I definitely agree in my role that I would definitely support the new leadership coming in with, getting adjusted, you know what I'm saying, to it. And in any other way, and at least from a personal perspective, any other way I could help, you know what I'm saying, whatever time frame that is. So thank you for, and that might be something to consider, you know what I'm saying, as an amendment. I'll just say that, you know what I'm saying, if you're talking about, someone coming out of that. If not that, it might be something that we use as a marketing piece, right? Like our welcome packet or something blurbs, things like that might help another person feel like, oh, if I might do that role then if I know I have that support, right? So it might be something to think about from marketing type of welcome packet kind of thing, which is why we've been working so hard on trying to get the bylaws and these responsibilities on paper. So when you all come in or people come in, there is a welcome packet that explains all of these things up front. So thank you, Adrian, Red Queen. So back to the priorities. Back to the priorities, unless there's another question. Oh, you know what? While Adrian is here, I am going to go ahead. Well, I'll go through this real quick. Well, when we did the survey, we had, these were the top 3 outcomes of you all, those who participated in the survey. Number 1 being that the priorities that the council should take on for this fiscal year, which was disconnecting the Family Support Council from the Open Meetings Act, the requirements, of the Open Meetings Act. Number 2, creating a diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and value statement for Family Support Council, and enhancing caregiver supports. So those were the top 3 based on what the surveys that were completed. Now, I don't know if anybody else has any other priorities since the last time we did this that they felt like they wanted to bring to the table at this point. Not to say that we're making a decision, but if there's something else that has become up more important, you think, hey, maybe we should revisit this. Craig, I see your hand.
Yes, I wanted to, on point number 2, related to particularly the subpoint, collaborating with DC Metropolitan Police Department. We did recently have a meeting with the DC Chief of Police, Pamela Smith, and Catherine, you were there. Rhonda, you sent a question that I asked, I think online.
Yes.
The chief expressed a lot of interest in collaborating with us. And, afterwards I asked her if she'd be willing to come to one of our meetings. She said she would. I know her team would too. I wanted to wait till this meeting to talk about before I send them an invitation or maybe through Catherine, send them an invitation, but I just wanted to raise that. The chief said that they were going to be looking at neurodiversity and mental health and intellectual disability and interaction with police officers, like that was a priority for her, that they hadn't done enough in the neurodiversity space and they were going to do so. So it may be a good time to do it. I only raised that because, you know, that may be something we want to act on now, just because they've expressed that interest, and it's something where they definitely should get our feedback. The chief also mentioned, by the way, that they had a policy on interaction in the mental health area, but that she wasn't sure how old it was, and she was going to take a look at that. And, you know, it seems like we could provide feedback on that. Maybe they should let us see the policy and we could give our feedback on that, and then also help in, you know, developing a new policy or an updated policy. So I just wanted to provide that feedback.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Yeah, I was definitely there, and like you said, provide that question. And the answer, yes, that was part of her answer, what you shared, Craig, but it was definitely clear as she used strategic words, you know what I'm saying? Just say starting.
It was a
and-
careful answer.
Yes, it was. And so that's why I'm saying that it wasn't until Robin triggered me, which I was so glad Robin's with Georgetown, had said, you know what, we gave something through the DD Council, which I was part of those meetings during the pandemic. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
I
And-
sent them, by the way, I did send those to her
Okay.
afterwards.
Okay,
I sent
but
them to her chief of staff, but I haven't followed up yet, which I was going to after we had this meeting.
okay, but that was clearly, and that was before her, right? You see where
Yeah.
I'm going? So it's kind of like, well, we did do some work, right? I mean, you know, we did offer some things to you about the topic. I do hear you, Craig, saying, you know, hit why the fire's hot, right? Is where you're coming from, you know, and we got her attention in a sense, or she's right now today's a rough day, but for her. We did get her attention. The other thing I just want to make clear real quick, and I see you, Catherine, is that we have to make sure they understand there is a difference between mental health, neurodiversity, you know what I'm saying? IDD, you know, we tend to get all grouped. And I see that happening at that meeting. It was driving me somewhere. You know what I'm saying? That we're not all grouped in mental health. Nothing against those with mental health, because obviously some of our family members have dual diagnoses. We get that. But wait a minute here. It's not all one massive group. And that's something when we have further conversation with her, we need to make that clear. Okay. There's ways in which we work with someone with needing mental health supports, and there are ways you work with someone with IDD, autism, whatever that, you know what I'm saying, that are specific. But I thought I did appreciate her taking the
Agree
time
with
to do that, you know what I'm saying, and have that
The
conversation.
sense I got when she answered your question that I gave,
Mhm.
thank you again for that. And thank you, Catherine, for your question too. When the sense I got was they didn't really have a policy on neurodivergent subjects and witnesses, and they had an old policy on mental health related subjects and
Mhm.
witnesses. So we definitely could add a lot of value, I think.
Right, and she, you know, shared that she had, I think, a nephew, right, with autism, so we know she's
She
a
did.
family member, you know what I'm saying, in the area, and maybe it's, you know, new to that area, which definitely that is something that's a plus. Catherine, I think your hand's up, right?
It is on a couple different runs. So I also sent follow-up on that conversation with a bit more about DDS, and here Project Action Family Support Council that can give you input on policies if you want to get that perspective. So I did a little grouping of resources to see what they might be most interested in. Both sharing, again, like you have already done, Craig, Family Support Council is one of those resources for advice. And does this make sense? And then also looking at some of those materials that Project Action had done back in 2000, had a training curriculum for law enforcement around interacting with people. It looks like it's focused on IDD, but it's something that the trainers were people with lived experience. So And it sounds like that group is also interested in this topic about those interactions. So we'll see what we get from some of this follow-up. But I also did want to point out that in our priorities survey, that was the next tier down, that there were two other, it was law enforcement. And then the waiver, the lifespan waiver, were the next two priorities that people voted for.
Oh,
when
did
we
I
were
get the
drawing
wrong
up.
order? I'm so sorry. Did I get the wrong order?
No, you got the top three. Those were
Oh,
just
okay.
4 and 5.
That's correct.
Those were tied for 4 and 5 positions,
Okay.
just for
Okay.
that context.
All right, I apologize. I thought, oh no, did I get the wrong top three? But okay, we did get the top three. So the other thing is I wanted to share with you all, the community of practice, supporting families, community of practice, what you all, participated in that survey, which, spanned several different questions, but wanted to share with you all the 3 priorities. Is that what you just said? That were, how that all panned out as for what we heard from other family members or, people from the community about what priorities for the supporting families community of practice, which kind of wanted to share that with you all. And hold on here in my Zoom skills. Oh, I'll get this figured out. Okay, can you all see it? Okay, great, fantastic. I was gonna try to put that into the PowerPoint, but I didn't have time. So this is the chart in which shows the different areas, and I apologize that I don't have the descriptions to these, right? Of these different areas. You can't read it, but there was kind of description, so people kind of knew what that area was about. But as you can tell, one of the areas was around employment, and Catherine might have some of the blurb to that, meaning, the description part. Appeared to be a very much of a high priority. And then after that was access to mental care, medical care, which is health. Am I reading this right? And then the third being advocacy and empowerment. So that wasn't just the 11 of us, but this was as to the community as a whole. Now, keep in mind, that survey reached the community, but definitely needs some more work, you know what I'm saying, on what that reaching the community. I don't know if I can get to that, and I apologize when I'm clicking through this, but I was hoping this was a presentation that Catherine and I did on employment and family engagement of supporting someone to gain employment. And it was done during the what was that?
The Employment First Summit.
Yes, I couldn't think of the name of the thing. Yeah, it was done during that. And so that's why I pulled this presentation up, because that's where that came from. So just wanted to give you all feedback on that. And if you want any more information from that, I don't have any problem sharing that information. I just want to make sure we get through what we have to get through today. And so now I'll stop sharing my screen. So now I will.
Can I ask you one thing?
Sure. Mhm.
Where was the data collected from?
The data was, you may not have participated, but it was given out to the community as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Through the community of practice has partners in different areas, right? It's Quality Trust, Family Ties to DC, DD Council, School Talk. I mean, there's HSCSN, there's anyone, it really could be, matter of fact, it'd be great, we could get what's her name? The chief as a representative for the Family Sport Council, to have someone as a member, right? To be always at our meetings, which would be great, but also to have someone at the community of practice as well, supporting families. So there's representation. And to be clear, the difference is, because it almost sounds like it's a Family Sport Council, but see, we make recommendations. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
The community of practice is more to support the family. So it's
families, yes.
people coming together. It could be even your group, Azam, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Your-
I asked this because I wanted to know if it is a clear presentation of the community. Because
Right.
remember, when we presented last time, most of the community members' question was transportation. So I see transportation way down. So that's why I asked this question.
Right, and so again, you attempted to fill it out, remember, Azam? Remember I gave it
Yes,
to you?
I did,
And
yes.
I took it back, you know what I'm saying? And they worked on it, but like I said, there is still much work to be done to get that survey out and accessible. Again, it's one of those areas that the school and what Family Ties of DC are trying to get to schools that, you know, to get to the younger parents, you know what I'm saying? Those, because they need to be a part of this because they're younger parents and they have to be knowing how things work because they're going to be advocating for later on, right? You need to be a part of the conversation now. So I'm kind of anxious from that perspective of trying to get new blood in and diversity so they can be a part of this process. But that's what I'm
That's okay.
saying, that it was
Thank you.
supposed to go out far and wide, right? And we attempted that, right? And Catherine and Luce did a great job trying to get all that together and get the survey done and all of that. And we all worked as a community to try to get that done. So we will do again, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you. No, I'm just asking because
No,
like,
good questions.
the
Yeah.
younger parents wouldn't say employment. So
Mhm.
it's
And so
when you
just-
see the representation of the community, the people who request employment should be much lesser, and the new ones should be, you know, maybe if healthcare comes on top, I would say it's okay. It can be presentation. So because it said employment, that's what made me ask you. Sorry, but
No,
from where we are, this is the data we have. I understand. Okay.
yeah,
That's just one piece. I'll just add that in there. That's just one of the pieces of information
Yeah.
that's community feedback that you just take into the context of all the other things that you have heard and seen. I think two notes on the who filled this out that we saw the vast majority of
Yeah,
people
I'll
that
share
completed the
that.
survey were
I can bring that
African-American women.
up. I'm
Right.
gonna bring that up. You know, you can go ahead and talk.
Yeah,
about
the
it.
demographics.
Yeah, I'll
And
bring it
we
up.
were really missing people with younger children in
Yes,
this
that
survey.
was.
That was like a definite gap, even though we do have some, you know, we have some partners in that community of practice that work with younger children. That was one of our areas that we know were not well represented in who responded. But we also asked people how they like to get information, how they currently get information, want to get information. And that was really interesting depending on the age of your family member with a disability. So most people had a family member who was a transition age youth, which makes sense with the employment, right? Or an adult were the age groups that most people fell into with the age of their family member. Yeah. But
Okay.
definitely some limitations and
Yeah, I definitely fall into this. I would say employment myself, but yeah, I just wanted.
Right, but you
Okay.
have a good
Yes.
point because
Yeah.
as she said, that's why, well, the survey proved the point that, you know, the majority of people that responded had transition age youth. So adult employment would be, you know what I'm saying? Something that why you might see, you know, a difference there, or and why we attempted to do this particular presentation was because we seen the numbers to be reflecting that. So, but like I said, like she said, limitations to it, but first time out of the gate and know now exactly what we need to do and how we can improve and attempt to get it far and wider, right? All right, so with that being said, we have 6, right? Yes, please say yes. Wonderful.
Yes.
And so we're maintaining, oh, great. Okay. So we are going to now, unless there's not any other questions, we are going to proceed to do the election piece, okay? And so I know that Craig had already mentioned that he was interested in the one of the roles of co-chair. because remember, there's two people in that particular position. And so was there anyone else that potentially was interested in co-chairing? We still are gonna go through the process of voting and who those individuals are, but if you'd like to share with us, if you are interested in that position, please let us know. A raise of hand or unmute, so I know.
I have a question.
Sure.
So,
Uh-huh.
so are, if I know in the past we've nominated people, or you're saying if you're interested in the position, just, and so how would one person let you, the team or the committee know? Is it just sending an email?
That they're interested in it?
Hmm.
No, you could say it right now. 'Cause
Like
we-
you can nominate yourself, right?
Right,
Go
if
ahead,
you want
raise your
to,
hand and
yeah.
nominate yourself if you're
Mhm.
interested.
Right.
I'm, I raise my hand. I raise my hand. I'm so, I'm a little nervous about doing this.
You can do it.
You
Oh,
can. Hmm.
oh, yeah.
What
Notice
are you saying, Adrian? I can't tell.
I'm just raising my hand and bringing it down.
Well, you really, if, for us that are on the screen, your hand is still up, honey.
It's still up. I took it down a couple of times and then I put it back up. Oh my gosh.
No, you wrote your reaction,
Yeah, I'm just, I know the level of responsibility, and how serious this is. And just, with the most recent challenges, and hopefully I'm out of those woods, I would definitely like to be a part of this, but there are, I'm just, yeah. So anyway, my
Okay,
hand's
so
still up.
yay or nay? That's what I want to know. Is that yay?
Can it be a if or maybe?
You know,
Okay,
there-
Craig, I see.
Yeah.
There are three positions. There are
That's
three.
correct.
And
Yeah.
so- And,
Yeah.
I'm also newer, so I would defer too, whatever you all like, but
No.
there are three. And
Mhm.
so if, we could talk about do we have three people who would like to serve, and then we could discuss maybe
Right.
if we would, which positions might make the most sense. Rhonda, I do think that you should be one of those three. Now, if you want to step back and be vice chair and help us, then that could be one way, but you know what? There's a good argument you should remain co-chair too, but you're outstanding at it, and so
Okay.
anyway, the point is curious what you think.
Well, the thing is that I again want to make sure that other people are given the opportunity to be in these positions, right? It's, there are a lot of things that are done that you all don't see. That's correct, right? But I do think there are opportunities where if someone else was in the shoes, right? They come from a different perspective, right? Each one of you all have skills and your hands in different things, right? That could be really helpful if you're in this type of role or position. You are able to think from another perspective, right? Which is another reason why it's so nice to have co-chairs, because, everyone's coming from what their skill set is, what their lived experiences are, you know what I'm saying? All of those things that are really crucial when you're talking to these agency heads, that, oh yeah, we need to think about this. And you do need to be a person that can think outside of your own life, right? My child has multiple support needs, but I can't act like I can't support someone, you know what I'm saying? With with something that so you have to keep an open mind. You can't just advocate, you know what I'm saying, for you and your family, right?
Can I ask you a tough question, Rhonda? So the tough question would be, are you still open to being a co-chair?
Can we just find
Or
out if there's any others that are interested?
yeah,
first? Okay.
yeah, because what my
Mm-hmm.
preference would be at the moment would be the vice chair. And that's more based on just my situation is a little unsteady. It's getting steadier. And so I don't want to start something. I do like to complete the things that I start. And so I understand that, you know, the co-chair, they both carry a lot of responsibility along with Catherine's input and all of what has to go into it. And I don't like to start something that I'm not able to finish. And so I would love to, look at because I do take notes. I handwrite notes still. That's old school. But it would give me an opportunity to then do a little bit of recovery over the next 2 years and then possibly, take the position of a co-chair. That's all I'm saying right now.
And there are supports, it is a role in which you do need, in any of these positions, that you do need access, you know what I'm saying, to a computer and all those
Mhm.
kinds of things. And I say this, and not to say that we can't support each other to do that, right? Because in the history of Family Support Council, there's been people that have had leadership roles and we've supported them to do it, which is why what you said, Adrian, was so on point about, when you leave the position that you just don't leave somebody hanging, right? Basically.
Mhm. Mhm.
So making sure if they're in need of those types of supports to make sure that happens, because in this vice chair, you are doing the meeting, you're doing the meeting notes, meeting minutes, meeting minutes.
Mhm. Right.
So therefore they will need to be typed up and submitted so we can vote on them, right? So those are things that are a real task. And especially when we had meetings with HSCSN, oh, those notes were extensive. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you had to, and then we tried to group them based on the response, or Kaplan did a lot of that work and me reviewing it. So there are pieces to it. But again, when you have, the help of one another. But so I hear you saying vice chair is something I'm thinking of right now. Craig has said co-chair, one of those, Zeb, Oliver, Shawnee, any of you of interest in any of those three, to be real honest, co-chair or vice chair? We'll be voting first on co-chairs.
No,
No,
not
no.
at this time.
I'm
I heard you say Shawnee, not at this time, right?
Right.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Me too. Me too.
Okay, and Zeb as well, and
Yeah.
Oliver, did you want to say anything? I thought you were trying to.
no, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, all righty, thank you. So at this point, we will proceed in voting. Even though we had us that volunteer and people who have volunteered, there's still a need to make sure we vote, because that's how the council works. And so we'll first start. Catherine, you ready?
All right, I got Daisy sitting. I'm gonna turn it to face her. Oh, she's a little far back. There she is.
I'm glad you made it safely. Yeah, Daisy, we were at the point of doing the election, and I was asking if anyone was interested in the co-chair positions, is where I started, but we also started kind of also expecting, are you interested? Can you unmute her, hun, so I can unmute you?
Okay, yeah, I am definitely interested in doing the co-chair position. In the last year, there are a lot of issues that concern me. I've got some testimony I want to give, and I really want to be able to kind of be in the spotlight with doing it, because it's not just me that's experiencing some difficulties with services. There's a lot of other people experiencing the same difficulties to continue to qualify for Medicaid and Medicare services. And the agencies aren't talking to each other electronically, but that's all we got. And so people are getting dropped out. So anyway, I really have a lot to say about that. So I do want to be like part of the face of what we're doing this year, this fiscal year. That's my reasoning.
Okay, so we now have Daisy interest in co-chair, Craig interest in co-chair, and Adrian interested in the vice chair positions.
What is the difference between co-chair and vice chair?
Okay, we went through those descriptions and I'll pull those up, but we did send those out. So the vice chair is a huge part of the responsibility, not all, is to represent the chair, the co-chairs, if we happen to be absent, you know, whatever, whoever's in those positions may be absent, right? So you would step into those roles. Also, the piece of keeping up with the meeting minutes. So you'd be responsible for the meeting minutes and making sure they're prepared and typed up so that we can review and vote on those. Also, the work of the vice chair is coordinating the work of committees. And I've heard a few things here that people have thrown out some other areas of interest, right? So if we reinstate those committees being advocacy, membership, or whatever we decide those committees will be, right? There's also, now think about it, but we're not calling them positions that we vote on, but you could be a lead in a committee, right? You know what I'm saying? If it's an advocacy, committee, you could be part of, doing the work within that committee. Keep that in mind, you all. You know what I'm saying? That's another area where you could definitely be of help to the council. So did that help a little bit, Daisy? Is that ringing a bell now of some of the things we have talked about in the past? I can't hear you. Catherine, if you're able to unmute her. Or
Okay, now we're good.
Okay, I understand the committee functions, each position. I've done most of those with the PALS group, every one of them. So keeping minutes, I'm your girl. Co-chair, I could do it. All of those, all the positions, it's a similar structure in most committees that are formed for whatever reason. So I'd be good at any of them, whichever one is empty, I'd be happy to serve.
okay. So you are saying co-chair as well as vice chair. So I just want to make sure, because as we're making the ballot, who is doing what? So we have Daisy and Craig as we'll be voting about co-chair positions for that one, Catherine. And then for the vice chair would be Adrian and Daisy, it sounds like. Daisy said she was interested in that role as well.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to type these in the chat so you guys can see who's nominated. Before I do that, are there any other nominations of yourself or somebody else?
Well,
or any
I had
particular
a quick question, and that would be because Daisy has done minutes in the past, that maybe Daisy can work with me to make sure that the minutes, if I'm elected as co-chair, I'm sorry, not co-chair, vice chair, if I were to come on board as a vice chair, that maybe Daisy can work with me on the minutes initially, so that they're done correctly and concisely. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah,
If, in fact,
Yeah.
okay.
Once we get through the voting, that is,
Okay.
I could work both
Okay.
ways. If she happens to get position, you all can support each other or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? That definitely is something that can be considered as we go after we get through the voting piece of it. And
I have
oh,
a
Craig, I'm
comment.
sorry, Craig, go ahead. Mhm.
I am a little worried that, typically if we had had two co-chairs and a vice chair, there'd probably be one of them continuing. I'm a little concerned that none of us have been in that position. I'm willing to step back if others want to do this, but Rhonda, I think that you should remain one of the three hosts. I do, no, I mean, I don't just mean it because I have great respect.
Right, but my thing is that I was trying to make sure that I was allowing others to speak up. I mean, it's only the right thing to do. And again, I stated that I would not leave you, all hanging at all, but I wanted to make sure that that all the others were able to say what, they wanted to do or potentially do or commit to do. And I am being very serious when I use that word. commit
Okay.
to do. This is not just whatever. It is a commitment and, just keep that in mind. It is a commitment and something that it is a responsibility of, in all of our roles, whether a member or a leadership member, we have a commitment. Now, I will put myself up there if everyone has now said Zeb and Oliver and Shawnee have all spoken, that's fine. So I will put myself up there as, if people want to, as a nomination for co-chair.
Yeah, I think that you should be either, I mean, respectfully, either co-chair or we should create a chair emerita position,
Mhm.
one or
Yeah,
the other, because I just think that at least for this next couple of years, or next period, your leadership would be still helpful, knowing that you want to build a succession and others to do this over time.
right.
Mhm.
And again, like I said, I was going to do that whether in that position or not. You know what I'm saying? That I would be there to support whomever got those roles. So here we go.
What's that?
She did put a
That's
correction.
just my correction. I added Rhonda in there as a co-chair nomination.
Okay, the best way, now that we do have, if we all could vote this way, since it's a co-chair position, right? So everyone give your top two.
Do you want me to put up the voting record? I have a little
That's, oh, great.
sheet
You
for
did
that.
it.
Let's
Okay, I
stick
wasn't
that
sure
up
if you had
there
it.
and then
Yeah.
I'll type away.
Yes, I didn't know if you had a chance to do it. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Okay.
Held up. All right. Okay. All right, so then I will just record.
Yeah.
Do you want to roll through everybody that's here and then I'll just type in their
Sure.
top two?
All right, the person under me, we are now taking the vote for the co-chair positions. And the nominations are Craig, Daisy, and Rhonda. So everyone will give their top two for the co-chair positions. Zeb, if you could.
Rhonda and Craig. I don't know how to click it, but
Oh, you don't. She's
You're not
gonna.
gonna be able to click it, but okay, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
Catherine-
type
Okay,
as you
okay.
tell
Sorry
us.
about that, Catherine. Sorry about that, Zeb. No, Catherine
Okay.
did it for you.
Okay,
Thank you. Who was that? Craig is under there. Craig, your votes.
Oh, Rhonda and Craig.
Thank you. Oliver,
Rhonda and Craig.
Adrian, you're muted if you think we hear you, sweet.
About that, sorry about that. Rhonda and Daisy for chair, co-chairs.
Okay. And Shawnee,
Rhonda and Craig.
and Daisy,
Rhonda and, well, I'll say Daisy too. Yeah.
oops.
and did I miss any voting members that happened to come on board? I think that was all the voting members that are on the call.
Yep,
Is this a quorum?
yes, you have a
Okay.
quorum.
This week of
Hallelujah.
11. So
All right.
like, we'll have- Yes, thank you, Jesus.
Your mouth to God's ears. Next, let's go.
I'm sorry, John. I'm not sure. What that means. Okay,
The chat.
and so the results, I think you've taken them down, but I believe it appears to be Rhonda and Craig.
Yes.
So 4 and 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, that's what. All
Yep.
right. And now we will proceed to the vice chair role. And the vice chair, there are 2 nominations which is Adrian and Daisy. Is there any last minute thoughts? Okay. All right, myself, Adrian. Zeb,
Adrian,
Craig,
Adrian,
Oliver,
Adrian,
Who does that create?
and then Adrian.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Daisy.
Oh, wow, how's this
Lots of
work?
Okay, fine.
And Shawnee, your turn, Shawnee.
I don't know if anyone is technically challenged here.
I kind of heard you. I didn't understand what you said. I just heard something.
I said Adrian.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
hear me now?
Yeah, now we can, hon. She said
Okay.
Adrian. Thank
Okay.
you. She said Adrian. So it appears to be 5 for Adrian, 1 for Daisy. So it is Vice Chair.
Did you vote?
Oh,
For
I'm so
the-
sorry. Forgive me, Daisy. Sorry,
Vice
Daisy.
chair?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I would say Adrian, the vice chair.
You know, this is quite hilarious, right?
Mhm.
I did
Little
get
bit.
my-
Like, okay, Adrian voted for Daisy and then Daisy votes for Adrian. Oh, gee. Well, okay, at least based on votes, it is Adrian. It looks like Adrian and Daisy will have that opportunity, as Adrian suggested, that they can work together, right?
Mhm.
All right. All right, then let's return back to congratulations to those.
Congratulations.
Thank you all for
Congratulations,
making the
Craig.
decision at all. Yes, that's
Yes.
good.
You, Craig.
Quorum. Mhm.
And congratulations to Adrian. And we're looking forward to moving forward in this fiscal year 2024. And in this case, in these roles, it'll be, oh Lord, 2 years, 2 years. So in these positions. So now we're going to go priorities that we do need everyone to vote on these. Please stay online, please. Because this is important. Adrian, if you could, oh, I can't share.
I'm gonna stop sharing. Hold up.
No problem. Going back to the priorities, and hopefully I can
Okay.
bring those back up if I can get mine right. Can you all see the screen?
What you looking for?
I'm trying to get my bag out because I had,
Okay, this is what were the top 3 that were at least the outcomes from the survey we did. This disconnecting Family Support Council from the requirements of Open Meetings Act. Is that still a priority for this group?
for
And
me, yes,
I'm sorry.
Yes, yes.
yes,
Mhm.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah,
And absolutely,
Is that-
definitely.
Yes.
Okay, see Craig shaking his
Mhm.
head. Okay, and with that being said, that is 3 of us. I just wanted to kind of hear people's input, and I wanted to just say a little blurb about each one, because with that number 1, that means that we have substantial work to do to document how exactly we would do that, or what our argument is, excuse me, right? What is the argument that we have that we should not have to follow those requirements? And the other key point to this is that because we're in the budget hearing and hearing, the hearing season, you know what I'm saying, if it's oversight or hearing budget, excuse me, that are both in the season, it would be crucial that we would take that chance to have that conversation, or I'm suggesting, you know what I'm saying, to do
Mhm.
some type of testimony I do think we probably need to go to someone's office first. And maybe have a one-to-one something or other. But that's my initial thoughts. But I do know it's gonna take some work and not just the co-chairs testifying, you know what I'm saying, and participating. It is gonna take us as a group. Okay, Craig, I see your hand.
Yes, I've been thinking about it, and our best argument is twofold, I think. One, that obviously we need to protect the identities of those who come before us and that they feel comfortable speaking, that not necessarily have to be recorded, that to protect their medical information, their disability information. But two, I think also, as an advisory committee, we're not making final decisions for the city or things like that. So I think when you combine those two, we don't want to be perceived as not being open to open meetings. But I think if we raise those 2 points and then also say, look, we're willing to put in place certain protections, voluntarily, even in a policy statement, that we will do our best to have open meetings, town halls, but we reserve the right. And the reason we need to be outside of the Open Meeting Act is to be able to have these private discussions too. And but that we're not against having meetings and inviting the public to them. We just need the ability to have an accommodation, essentially like a disability type accommodation. We need an accommodation to protect people with disabilities and medical information.
Okay. Any other input concerning this particular priority? Thanks, Craig. Adrian, excuse me. Adrian, are you
Okay.
able to take notes right now?
Yeah,
you-
I actually can do that if you give me 1 second. I have a whole, it's a own entity, but it's not in front of me at the moment, because I wasn't
Just-
expecting to take those notes, but I will. But I did have a question, and this is in lieu of everything that's going on with this overarching group. Do we need to have or submit in the document to them some legalese to say why we would request that it be at our decision or choice? My preference is that they have nothing to do with these meetings for several reasons. One of which was something that Craig touched on, but also HIPAA issues. The fact that if you have non-voting members as well as voting members in a meeting, people are going to be very uncomfortable having certain types of dialogue. So I think I'd rather us go for and we can say it in a good way. However, in a way that says we would prefer that our meetings be as they were initially and not that they have to have input or as an overarching. Now they can always request, we'd like to have a meeting, or we'd like to participate, but it's still got to be of our choice because we are not an extension necessarily of that organization. And I thought it was dynamic. I was shocked. And it caused me for a few minutes to draw back and say, hey, this is not what I want to be about. This feels very big brotherish, and who are they reporting back to? So I think that we need to, one, identify or set the tone that we have some autonomy here in this process. So that's it's the legalese questions. It's the legal side of this and I'm sure we have some rights that say we choose respectfully to withdraw from this relationship as it stands now. And we can revisit it if they want to, but that we need to posture ourselves in such a way that we don't just go along with rank and file. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. And Catherine, I see your hand.
Is that-
Yeah, that's you.
Okay, that's for me. In tandem with what Adrian is saying, if we go back to the beginning of when the Family Support Council was created, that was kind of the whole idea. They wanted to bring stakeholders who had vested interest in these issues. And stakeholders with those vested interests usually are caregivers of some form that can articulate the concerns that they're coming across and find out that there are similar concerns in a room as well. The Open Meetings Act kind of defeats that purpose. I don't know, in the original legislation, I have the written copy of what we had years ago. I don't know where it is, but it defeats what the Open Meeting Act is trying to say going forth. It limits what we're saying. And as Adrian was saying, there's got to be some legalese way to remind the people who had that stipulation in the law, but 2008, right? Family Support Council didn't come along till 2015. So, you know, everybody was ignoring it. I'm not saying that we're the exception to the rule, but that's how it was set up. And now you're literally eroding the effectiveness of the Family Support Council. We're supposed to call question to how agencies are operating, especially those processes that don't really work for the community or population they're trying to serve.
Right.
So that could be one way of looking at it and putting it in language, going back to what was originally the purpose of the thing.
I'm gonna need to use the bathroom real quick.
So, I mean, there's a way to do it. I got paperwork at home, but I don't, it's not in paper. Everything's on systems now.
Okay.
But that was the original goal, to get input from people that are being affected by the supports that are being offered.
And you're so right, Daisy. And that's where my 2 cents is to this, is that they can't access us, but even though it's by their choice, because they do not feel comfortable in this platform.
Right.
How can we reach them to get their input, to be able to give really pertinent recommendations if we can't hear from the people that are getting the services and supports? Because they don't feel comfortable coming to the platform because, and even though we may still record it, but in this case, it's recorded and it has to now go to different places, right? Now, to say we wouldn't agree that we continue to record it because we have it for reasons for the vice chair, or, you know, things that we need to look back at. But now this goes on a few places. It goes on DDS's website. It goes, you know what I'm saying, to them. I mean, so if someone was to get on and they begin to share their information, there's exposure. They really surely probably was not wanting everyone and anyone that wanted to click on the link and hear about their loved ones' circumstances.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. We used to have, there would be public meetings and there would be voting member meetings.
That's
okay?
correct.
For that very process.
Mhm.
So now you're saying everything's got to be opening.
That's right.
You're not going to be able to get anything done going forth, because every time there might be someone new in the room that has a legitimate concern, but you have to wait to get to either explain to them, well, we can't talk about this, we can't talk in this fashion about our loved ones or what have you. It's like you're shooting yourself in the foot and trying to get out on the dance floor. It just doesn't work. So maybe those are some.
Okay, so those are excellent things being brought up. I see, unfortunately, I only see the name Manga. Your hand is raised. I don't know your name. I'm just reading what's on the screen.
I'm sorry, that was by accident.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. All right. But you're welcome to, even though you're not able to vote on these priorities, but that's why we have this meeting today, is to hear from those outside, in the community, Manga. If you did have something you wanted to share that you feel like we need to know, you know what I'm saying, to consider as we do the work we do, if it's around priorities or for the year, or if it's a situation you may be experiencing as a DC resident, accessing or trying to get the services and support you need from whatever agency that is. We are not exclusively DDS. So we are across the lifespan, and any DC agency, DDS and sister agencies. So anything that really I say is connected to us living in the community with our family, you know what I'm saying? And they're a DC agency and we touch them and they touch our lives. I think we have a responsibility to engage with them. Okay, it sounds like, we're gonna vote though. We have that particular one. It sounds like, at least 3 or 4, but we'll get a vote on it. Then we also have, creating a diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility and or values statement for Family Support Council. If there's not anyone with something to say, I would say, I do think it is an important, priority. I just don't know if it's now. Is my point. I just don't know if it's right now is where I'm at. I think, if I went to number 3, I would say 1 and 3 to me are really where I think we need to do a lot of work. That's
A procedural question, Rhonda. How many do you want? How many of those priorities and any other ones that may not be listed, do you want people to say, I'm voting for, as I'm recording people's votes? Do you want them
Okay.
to do 2 or 3?
Yeah, let's do 2. Craig, did you have something? I see your hand kind of wave up.
Yes, I support 1, and with 2 in particular, I support the note that we should engage the Metro Police Department. That could conceivably be part of 3 though, too. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily tied to a DIA statement. I
Mhm,
would suggest though, that if we go with 1 and 3, as you've suggested,
mhm.
which I would support, that, I'm still, if the council is okay with it, I could put together a proposed DIA statement. I do that all the time for companies as part of my practice, so I have a lot of them. So, I don't think it necessarily has to be a priority of ours, but it's something I could work on and circulate to the group, and we could discuss it at a meeting, maybe as a agenda item. And I think it'd be a good thing for us to do at some point during this year, but I don't think it necessarily has to be a priority either.
Okay, so you're in agreement with me. I don't know if it's necessarily, you know what I'm saying, a priority right now, but if you have those resources and ability to be able to put something together that we can look at, that would be fabulous. And thank you,
do that.
Catherine, from redirecting me to the lovely charting system that you developed for us to vote on things. So I appreciate that. So again, obviously, what was the survey outcomes was what I have there, 1, 2, and 3, the top 3, the actual results of those surveys. However, if there is any of these or something other, right, that you feel like we now need to work through, then I need to hear that particular, or we do, particular, priority.
Not
If
right
there's
yet.
something on here that's not, something that you see here.
Miss, shut your ass up, what?
Okay, so again, do we have the chart? So that we could pull that up. And I am, as everyone's contemplating, as for the enhancing caregiver supports, I guess I'm kind of torn because I also work with the community of practice supporting families. And for those who've seen the documentary called Unseen, which it showed the lives of people of Catherine. Okay, hold on just a second. I see the hand. I'll get to you just a second. It was showing the lives of family members, their everyday lives and the stress involved. It was quite emotional. You know what I'm saying? And from that, the community of practice supporting families is trying to do some work to allow that documentary to be shown to the community as a whole and do some work around that, right? So from the Family Ties of DC perspective, I wanted to testify around those things. Which, where are the caregiver supports? Where's the respite? Which then bleeds into in order to have respite, you have to have what? A DSP, you have to have a nurse, you need, CNA, which bleeds into a whole bunch of other areas of how we can even get that if we don't have those supports, right? So, that's the reason why I tend to say that. The enhancing caregiver supports. And again, I may be being a little torn because maybe it's something else that I handle in another way, but I just want to make sure everyone understood where I was coming from that perspective, because the calls I get of the stress of not having support, if it's, being able to just go to the grocery store, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if it's even just to get away, period, and it's
Mhm.
respect both ways. It's for the family member and for the caregiver. And in this case, it's an area that is across the lifespan. It doesn't matter, right? It's not, we're not talking about just pediatric, children. This is, I'm getting calls of people with, family members with dementia and Alzheimer's, and the family members are stressed from the care they have to give for their loved one experiencing multiple different illnesses. But where I'm going is that it might be a good way of, when I argue this point, you know what I'm saying, to look across, you know what I'm saying, the whole lifespan, which is what we do also here at the Family Support Council, which is also Family Ties DC. Okay, my point is, are you gonna put the chart up?
All right, you ready? Yep, if you're ready for the chart, I'll put the chart up. Is it easier for people to be able to look at this list and not have the chart up, or do you want me to stick the chart up? What's easiest?
That's true. It might be easier to leave it up. Does everyone agree? You want the chart up? I mean, the list, or you feel okay? You leave it up and we'll just, I just want to.
Okay, and then I'll just record it.
Adrian, did you have another? We're almost.
I
out of-
did, I did,
And you had a comment,
would
didn't
you, because I missed the title of the documentary.
It was Unseen. And-
It's gone.
Yeah, but we're, Catherine and Luz are working, we're all working to have that. We're going to do a community outreach type of thing, what I'm gonna call it, you know what I'm saying, through the community of practice supporting families, that we're going to hopefully allow that to be seen again and do some work around engaging and outreaching to parents, and then see what parents are saying, so we can do some other follow-up work after that, okay? So just keep that in mind. One other thing that I wanted to quickly say is that, well, I'll leave it for the end. Okay, let's move on.
Have your
I
comment.
just want to make
We
sure.
got a
Catherine-
comment here,
Oh,
Rhonda.
Daisy, I'm sorry, I always
Yeah.
think when your hands up.
Rhonda, with regard to, prepping testimony,
Yeah, that's.
at this point in time, you always have to strike when the iron is hot. Like you're saying, the things that you want to address in your testimony, that 3 minutes that you have. There's a certain situation that's not just occurring with me, but it's occurring with other families through the lifespan. There are children that have HSCSN that are being knocked out at 14 because the system doesn't have them in the right way. And one of my colleagues, one of our friends, literally gave me the blueprint for what is wrong. The systems don't talk to each other, and you automatically knock people out. I've been knocked out, and I have complex needs that can't be addressed. Children are being knocked out. Imagine someone older than me, and I'm 6 decades in, that has no concept of this computer piece, and they're taking care of a loved one that's an adult that can't really take care of themselves, and they are being knocked out. The system is not working because it's demanding that everybody go into these portals a certain way, and the portals are not user-friendly. Literally, Catherine will tell you, I have a list here of different issues, but I have to compact it down to the 3 most powerful things I can say. What's that? Okay, anyway, that being said, I think if there are issues that are affecting all people through the lifespan, not just the caregivers, but their charges, the ones that they're taking care of, that is eroding their lives and their health. Somebody has to fix it before the next year comes up, and requalifying for services that you've been authorized to get for the rest of your life, being knocked out, not being able to get your prescriptions because you don't have insurance. This is crazy. That's what we wanted to speak to, but well, as testimony, in the same way that I understand what you're saying, and the people you're hearing from, I'm hearing from a lot of people too.
Yeah, there are multiple issues. I mean, we
Yeah.
can
You
all
can vote for that, and everybody can vote for whatever
Yeah,
their own.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure those who are putting those their votes in the chat, and Shawnee, are you able to get to the chat, okay? But, Catherine had asked for everyone to put their votes in the chat, but I want to make sure when you're saying 1 and 3, you're talking about the 1 and 3 that I have on the screen, right? I just want to make sure no one's
Let me,
going in
let me see.
numerical order. You're picking what I have noted as 1 and 3. Is that correct?
All right, do you want to read those out, Rhonda, so I can record them since I've got now my
Sure.
voting sheet up? So Rhonda, what are your votes?
Mine is the number 1 on the
Or
screen.
tell me a keyword. Let me put some
Disconnecting
keywords.
family support.
Disconnect.
Okay. Connecting council from the OMA is what I
Mhm.
probably would say. And
All
then,
right, I'm gonna call it just OMA disconnect is what I'm typing, just so you know.
right, and then, I don't have a second one right now because I'm reconsidering. So I'm gonna move on to someone
Okay.
else. Craig is who I see on the screen right now. Oh, Craig has number 3 and number 1, which is the Disconnecting Family Support Council from OMA and enhancing caregiver supports. Is that correct, Craig?
Yes, although, as part of number 1, I see the subpoint, which is
Mhm.
broadening the FSC's community representation, including neurodiversity and mental health. Is that considered to be part of number 1? Because
No. What I did, and I'm sorry for the confusion, is that this was the list of all the
I
priorities.
see.
Right, and I just marked them 1, 2, and 3 as the top 3 from the results from the survey for those who completed the survey. Does that make sense, everyone? I'm so sorry if that caused confusion. Does that make
I
sense?
see.
Okay,
Well,
Mhm.
I just, I would like to see the policing one brought in.
okay, so you need to, on his, put 1 in policing, is that correct? Disconnecting Family Support Council from OMA and Police
police.
Department for,
Yes.
is that right, Craig? Okay.
And then as to the DIA, I don't think we need to make that a priority. I think we
I
can
don't
just do
either.
it. I think we just adopt one. I think we can adopt one and I can circulate it to the group. You give me feedback. I'll put whatever everyone wants in there and then we can vote on it.
I agree. At least for me, I do. Let's see here. I'm trying to get back to my Zoom. I'm sorry.
Can I ask, so really quickly, Rhonda, you voted for number 1 and that was it, and Craig voted for, Craig, I heard you say 3 and 1, or was it 3, 1, and then
I was
2?
confused. I apologize.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
voting for number 1 and then
Number-
the policing one. My third choice would have been caregiver supports.
Right. So we'll go ahead and say the actual phrasing. So
Yes,
disconnect,
please do that.
disconnect Family Support Council from OMA. So it makes it a little easier for her. And then was Craig's, and then his second was the police, collaborating with the police.
Which is
Got
number,
that.
okay.
I got Craig.
And
Yeah.
then
That's-
I only said 1 at one time, at this time, which is Disconnecting Family Support Council, because I might throw in another one.
Okay.
But I'm not there yet. Because I'm
Okay.
trying to make sure we get through this. And then I'm trying to see what everybody
Me too.
in the chat. And then
Okay.
Oliver said 1 and 2, which I am, are you saying disconnect, Oliver? Disconnecting from OMA, and number 2, the diversity language. Is he still on here? I don't think he is. All righty, no, he's gone,
He's
unfortunately.
gone. Yep.
So, let's
He
keep.
and Zeb have left their votes.
Yeah, dang it. But maybe they thought since they gave it is after 1, so I apologize, everyone. So that's what Oliver said in the chat, 1 and 2. Azeb said 1 and 2, which I'm assuming that's what it was. It's the 1 and 2 I had on the screen. Shawnee, that's what I'm looking for.
Hi, I hear the numbers, but I can't see the screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. Okay, so it was disconnecting Family Support Council from the requirements of OMA, the Open Meetings Act. That was what
Okay.
number 1. When we say number 1, we're referring to that because that was the most votes we got from the survey, was the
Okay.
top one. The second one that was as an outcome from that survey was creating the diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility statement. And that's what Craig was referring to, that he would just put something together so we could vote from there. You know what I'm saying? Instead of making it a priority. Okay, so we kind of took that one, it appears to be people kind of, well, we've talked about that, maybe not making that a priority, right? Because we can handle that quickly. Then the third one, that was the third priority that was most voted on, was enhancing caregiver supports, was number. Okay, and so those were just the top 3 out of the survey results, but there was other things, which was collaborating with the police department on policies and procedures, which I don't know if you were on when Craig was talking about that. Maybe we need to address that now, because we had a meeting with her, or he had the fireside chat thing. And then the other one was broadening the FAC's community representation to include neurodiversity and mental health may require legal legislative, change. And that's meaning, instead of just saying IDD, you know what I'm saying, that we are going, that we should broaden that out. That was another thing that was put down as a potential priority for us. We're talking about this year, okay, everyone, remember that, okay? And then voting to appoint new members. I don't know what. Oh, that was the council considering making the argument that the DDS director should not be the person making the appointments for the voting members to be on, for members to be a voting member. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry. But, you get where I'm saying, that if someone is application, it should be not the final decision by him, is what that's saying. You know, saying that he would be the appointed person. And then the other area was transition coordination, childhood adult services, transition coordination, meaning, you know, if it's middle school or even early intervention or youth, you know what I'm saying, adult youth, any of those transition coordination areas. Was another area, and then there was other. So if there was something else you wanted to say, hey, maybe we need to look at this, which is what Daisy's saying. Daisy's saying, I have another area, which is basically this Medicaid problem. You know what I'm saying? Where people are, because they did this, what was it? Not drill back, what's it called? Roll, what do they call it?
Wind down.
Yes, thank you.
Wind down.
Yeah, that they went back to
unwinding.
trying to go back before, which has caused all these problems, is what's happened. You know what I'm saying? And the systems aren't working right. Databases, and it's kicking people out. I know what you're talking about, Daisy. So Daisy brought that up. Maybe we need to make, she said the disconnecting, I believe, Family Support Council, and what she brought new was that, you know what I'm saying, that problem. So if so we were asking your input, you know what I'm saying, of what you want, because we can't vote on them now because we don't have enough people, but this will be good.
No, I think that's a lot. I do agree what Daisy brought up should definitely be added on there because it has impacted my family. So I think that's enough for you.
Yeah, and we're not saying we're doing all of those. We're trying to pick only 2, 1. You know what I'm saying?
You just want 2? Okay, so the first one I would say is the Family Support Council from, what is it, OMA? Yeah. And then I would say collaborate with MPD.
Okay. So
for either updated or new policies,
Okay, so those are your 2. So, and I was just listing all of them since you can't see the screen, honey. But no, we weren't saying we were doing all of those. Those were just suggested in the survey and what people came out. I just wanted you to know what was on the screen so you could, you know, make a decision on what you want to do. Okay, so with that being said, I am torn, but I will say, let's just go ahead and do the collaboration with the police. And the reason why, that's my second, is what I'm saying, Catherine, because hopefully we can set some committees up and we can make this work in a lot of different areas, right? Because if we can get policy figured out potentially for police, maybe we can think about some other areas that we can make recommendations in other agencies, right? So that's just me. You know what I'm saying? That try to, maybe when we're doing this work, that we kind of think about, is there another agency, or even if it is you know, in areas of healthcare, that if we can give them some policies and procedures on how you interact with our loved ones at the doctor's appointment, right?
Mhm.
You see where I'm going? So maybe we can make this, you know, work in some other areas. And that's just my suggestion. You see what I'm saying? Because if we're going to say, how do you interact with my loved one when you want to speak to them as you're a police officer, or they've done something wrong, or maybe they didn't. That's where my point is that sometimes just knowing how to speak to someone, a lot of different agencies need to know that. They need to know how to address someone when they come in your front door. You know what I'm saying? Of how you address someone with neurodiverse, you know what I'm saying? Mental health, whatever that is. But that's just because I really would like us to try to make it work. You know what I'm saying? In other areas, if we're going to do some work, right? Or in that area. Because that could
Fluff up
expand
the
to a lot of
votes.
areas. Yes, okay. So I don't think we have enough, right? Because everyone's.
Well, if you count what we got in the chat from folks as they were
Okay.
going.
That's true. Okay, so I said police. Is that Adrian again? Adrian, is that you wanting to say something? Or is that the time you had it up before?
Oh, sorry. I haven't voted yet on, I can tell you
so
which ones I
sorry.
want.
Sorry,
No, it's
Adrian.
okay. Because I didn't put it in the chat because I was taking notes. Shawnee said number 2 and number 1. Is that correct, Shawnee?
Well, it's not number 2. It's police. It's
Oh, gosh.
it wasn't marked as a number. Remember, policing was
Yeah.
not marked as a number. So
Hold on, because I have to use I had to take a screenshot because it's so small for
Okay.
me. So
Oh.
I'm so sorry, you guys.
No
So policing is number 2, which I have that. That was Shawnee. And then I didn't get the second one that she wanted to vote for.
OMA.
Okay, so that's number 1, right? Okay. And then Daisy, I wasn't sure about Daisy because she was adding a number, but if Daisy, if you're still with us, if you can just give me which ones you wanted, and then I'll tell you which ones I want or which ones I'm voting for.
Okay,
So
well,
Daisy's
like everyone else, I definitely want the OMA to
okay.
be front and
Got you.
center, because that affects this group in particular.
Got
Okay,
you. Mhm.
The other thing that I'm concerned with, and a lot of other families are dealing with the same thing. I was bounced out of Medicaid and I'm still not back in. My child was bounced out of Medicaid, still not back in. The system that they're now requiring people to do isn't user friendly, and they need to fix it. They need to coordinate District Direct, DC Health Link, and what's that other abomination? Oh God, there's one more. DC Healthcare Finance. Yeah. Those systems are not talking to each other, and it's just automatically bouncing people out. I've got people calling me, how do I get back in? That whole piece.
So why don't we think about this then? Because I do think it's important. You know what I'm saying? That I do think it's worthy of a number 3, right? But that's a lot, right? But
yeah, that's
we
a big piece.
we could establish a letter though, right? We may not give them all the details, but we could come as, hey, this is the Family Support Council. This is what we're seeing is going wrong, right?
Yeah.
And do like or even we can make it a meeting. That's what we could do. We
I would say make it a meeting.
Make it a meeting,
Yeah.
right? And we invite them to it. And yes, it's a priority. Are we going to solve it? We hope to, but you see where I'm going. Craig and everyone understand what I'm saying is that if we make that third one, which is what they're suggesting, which is a good one because it is bad. And yes, we're hearing it. You know what I'm saying? That people are losing Medicaid. Hello. You know what I'm saying? How's that? You know what I'm saying? So I do think maybe that's what we could do. Make it a meeting, right?
Okay.
Bring those people to the table. But we do, not to say we don't have police come to the meeting, but you catch where I'm going, that maybe we strategically work on that as a, I guess, third. You know what I'm saying?
You can address all the things that have been voted for.
It
There's
doesn't say
nothing
that we're
nobody
all going to
said.
solve it today or
Only
even
two.
fiscal year 2024, but at least we can make the recommendations and move forward in some shape or form, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
right,
and I'm just going to really quickly my vote is for number 1 and number 2.
Okay, so that
so
is
far.
OMA, and number 2 is Lord Jesus, what did I say?
I have to go back and forth
DEIA, right?
on my screenshot. So
Well,
the number
remember,
2 is creating collaborating with the Metropolitan Police Department. I think that's very important.
Okay, all right. I will not number those again like that because I think I caused confusion. So sorry. But yeah, use the words. That's good. We got it now. Okay.
Okay.
I thought I was making it easier, but I guess I didn't. But that's fine. I know better next time. All right, meeting date and time. Thank you, Catherine. I know it's a few here, but I'll take whatever I can get. And I apologize late, but we had so much to do. It was the third meeting to try to get all this stuff done. What the outcomes were two Thursdays, the first and second week of the month. Anyone, can someone put in your chat or something in the chat, excuse me, is first, second of on first or second week of each month on Thursdays. And also give your suggested time of, if it's a morning time, if it's, what time is that? And if it's an afternoon time, what time is that? Does that make sense? So it's, okay, so if you put that in the chat and we'll get the other people's input about that later, okay?
And you said first and second Thursdays of one or the other. Is
Right.
it first and okay.
Well,
First
if
or
you
second,
want to,
right?
yeah,
For a regular date.
right, for a regular meeting date. So I'm trying to, when you
And mostly people said afternoon, that was from that survey that we did about the meeting times for the people that responded, again, limitations
Right.
there.
right.
That it was by and away, the afternoon was what people wanted as far as general time frame.
Right. So.
But
I
it was
just
it was first and second Thursday though. I'm just trying to write this all down to make
Yes.
sure I have it. Mhm.
Right, and remember, you can get the
Okay.
recording, honey.
Yep.
The other piece was that, I would still say, if you want to give a suggestion, if you're able to do morning, give a morning suggestion, you know what I'm saying, a morning and an afternoon suggestion, if you can, because maybe it'll make it easier about getting with the rest of everyone else to kind of make a decision. Does that make sense? So if you if you are able to do a morning and an afternoon, what those times are on the first and second Thursdays of each month, is that clear? You have a question, Adrian, or I just need to?
No, that was it. I just wanted to verify if it was the first and or the second Thursday of each month. I just want to make sure it was
Yeah.
okay.
We're not gonna meet twice. It's just, those are the two that seem to be, people chose. I mean, you know, they were interested. Shawnee, I know you, I don't have anything on the screen, but do you hear what I'm saying? Or did she leave? No, she's there. Did you have a preference of time?
Yes, I do. Yes, my preference would be afternoon.
Afternoon on a first or second Thursday, or does it matter for you?
It doesn't matter, as long as it's afternoon.
Okay, afternoon. Catherine, you heard
Okay.
that?
Yeah,
Thank you.
what time in the
Yeah, I
afternoon?
did ask for that. 1 or 2 or noon? I mean, what works for you? I mean, when you say afternoon,
12.
did you say 12?
Can you hear me? 1 is fine.
1 is fine. Okay, it was breaking up, so that's why I was 1 o'clock, you said. Okay. All righty. So thank you all for meeting today, and I appreciate staying over, but we had to get some of this stuff figured out for sure. And we'll move forward on making, I guess it would be March. And we'll please stick to your emails. And if you're not getting emails, I guess you don't know unless I text, but Shawnee, you had expressed some confusion with the meeting invitation for this time. What was going on? I can't remember. You
Mine
said,
wouldn't come up with a date.
I'm sorry, what'd you say again?
It wouldn't come up with a date. I just got like a regular email.
Oh,
Usually it'll be like an invite. It didn't come up that way.
It didn't save as a calendar invitation. Is that right? That you got an email that said, here's the date, but it didn't also land in your calendar? Is that right?
Yeah. It didn't come on the email either. So it didn't transfer over to my calendar and it wasn't in the email.
okay. Maybe we can do some test runs. You know what I'm saying, Catherine, to see.
Yeah, do you want to put the email address just to make sure I have it right? Do you want to put your email address that you prefer in the chat? And I'll send you a test.
It's still mom, sick autism.
Yeah, it's still, yes.
Yeah, that's the one I've been using.
That from my phone. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I know Daisy has a new number and I didn't
Mhm.
I lost the new number, so because I just want to make sure I have everybody else's number except Daisy's new number. Daisy, are you comfortable sharing that with me?
Sure, I can share that.
No,
That's
it's
not a
on the
problem.
chat. It should be on the chat. Did you
It's-
get my text
okay,
this morning, Daisy?
I did.
I saw this morning's notices, but
Okay, did you see the text I sent though? I just want to make sure you're getting to your new number. I sent a text to the group.
okay, yeah, okay.
Did
Can I
get it?
say 202-650-4922.
650-650-4922.
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Thank you so much.
I
I
can
don't
put it
see
in
it.
the
I don't
chat.
see it I don't see it on here.
On
Mm,
that chat, you don't see it?
Yep, I don't see it. I see
I thought I
another.
updated it. I updated that chat. I don't know to include her.
I'll go back to the actual
Okay.
group text
I don't know.
message and see if
Yeah,
I can find it in there.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to look at it. I apologize, Daisy. I'll have to look on that, but
No problem.
I'm going to reach out to the other members who did not attend specifically to get their input of where they stand at this point, because I've had conversations with all of them, you know what I'm saying, offline, to see where they were or were not. So I will follow back up with them. Because if there is slots available, then we need to do some work to get new members in, right?
Right.
So if you guys got any ideals of new members, and I'm not saying it will be for sure, but if you do, please keep them in mind. Okay, potentially I think there's at least one that we might have a slot open, but I need to verify that. Okay.
Okay.
We should look
I
at
do
the
have
application
okay.
again.
I
show
have
folks
some
the new one.
people. I have some people that I'd love to invite from our
Okay.
community. So they just need the application. I gotta just make sure I get the
Okay.
application
I
and then they can fill it
was
out.
wondering If that's the case or not, but I was hoping today they would be here so they could, express that. But I just wanted everyone, that I've contacted everyone, you know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
just follow up, and they were supposed to attend today to kind of give that decision or what they were gonna do. Okay? Which was supposed to
Okay.
be everybody, because that's what all those emails and texts were saying, if you're interested to continue or not. All right, thank you all.
Thank
We'll
you.
March and stay close to your emails. All right. Have a wonderful
Okay.
day. Don't forget to do something for yourself, whether big or
course.
small, okay?
And Rhonda,
Okay.
Today.
I just wanna say, everyone voted for you, so you're doing a great job as our chair, our co-chair.
Craig,
And I'm honored to be
you
co-chair
got
with
what you
you.
wanted, Craig.
I'm honored to be co-chair with you, and I'm looking forward to working with the Red Queen too.
No, I think we'll Craig and Craig, as well as Adrian and Daisy with her
Daisy,
support.
thank you for running.
Yes,
Looking
Oh,
forward
no
to working
problem.
with you
No problem.
too.
exactly.
Look, I'm the
do
first one
think we are
appointed,
going to
ignoring
make
us,
some
so
really good
we got
impact.
you.
So I'm looking forward for all of us working together. Thanks,
Mhm.
Craig.
Thank you, Craig. Congratulations to Craig and Rhonda and Daisy. I will be calling you with the note. With the note.
Not a problem. I will answer the phone.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing what we said we do, family support. So we're supporting one
Yes.
another. Thanks so
Exactly.
much,
Yes.
everyone.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
everybody.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye.
Okay.
Let me save the chat
Yes, Lord.
and
Okay, you're gonna have to help me with something.
so it looks like you typed up a lot of things. All right,
Yes.
looks like this worked.
Well, see, the thing is, I will condense it, but I bought an extra